Hamas militants broke through barriers around Gaza and roamed at will, killing scores of civilians in Israeli towns. More than 250 Israelis were killed and over 1,500 wounded, an unprecedented number of Israeli victims in a single day. Analysts are flagging intelligence gaps which undermined what was thought to be an aggressive and successful layered approach towards Gaza by Israel. Is the nation paying a price for Netanyahu's policies? For Israelis, images of dead bodies lying in the streets or groups of civilians being driven or marched into captivity in Gaza came as a profound shock. Minister Yoav Gallant has approved a wide-scale call-up of reservists, and Israeli defense chiefs are facing growing questions over how the disaster could have happened.
There is no way that such terrible consequences would have occurred if Israeli forces intelligence were at the kind of readiness that we know and expect.
A day after the 50th anniversary of the start of the Yom Kippur War in 1973, Israel appeared once again to have been surprised by a sudden attack. Remember, at the start of the 1973 war, Israeli forces were caught off guard by Syrian and Egyptian tank columns. Retired General Giora Eiland, a former head of Israel's National Security Council, says the events look quite similar to what happened at that time. An army spokesperson said there would be discussions on the intelligence preparation down the road. But for the moment, the focus was on fighting.
This is a huge disappointment for the, erstwhile lauded intelligence apparatus of Israel. Israeli intelligence has been world-renowned for its expertise in staying one step ahead of its adversaries, and Hamas has humiliated the Israeli intelligence apparatus as a result of this incident. So there's no question that this is deeply humiliating.
Israel has always regarded Hamas as its sworn enemy since inflicting heavy damage on Gaza in a 10-day war in 2021. Israel had adopted a mix of carrot and stick to maintain stability in the blockaded enclave. It offered economic incentives, including thousands of work permits allowing Gazans to work in Israel or the West Bank. At the same time, it maintained a tight blockade and the constant threat of airstrikes. For the past 18 months, violence has raged across the West Bank. Gaza had been relatively quiet, apart from sporadic cross-border clashes mainly involving the smaller Islamic Jihad movement, with Hamas remaining largely on the sidelines. Just days ago, Palestinian Islamic Jihad supporters participated in a parade marking the 36th anniversary of the movement's foundation. Militants marched through Gaza City, brandishing weapons and carrying rockets and drones. The event showcased domestically produced rockets atop trucks, draped in green camouflage fabric, missiles, and 3 types of drones. Hamas has controlled Gaza since 2007. Netanyahu's right-wing government has always made great play of its security credentials and taken uncompromising stance towards the Palestinian militant functions. However, when the time came, Israel's security apparatus appeared to break down. A force of Hamas gunmen, estimated in the hundreds by the military, broke through security fences and scattered into towns. Former Israeli National Security Advisor says, and I quote, "This is a very coordinated attack, and unfortunately they were able to surprise us tactically and cause devastating damage."
It'll be hampered by quite a number of things, not the least of which is the large number of Israeli civilians which have been captured and are now being held in all kinds of areas, apparently throughout the Gaza Strip, and that's going to definitely hamper, especially any large-scale air attacks. I think it's going to make that very difficult for Israeli defense forces. But also we have to understand that this has been planned for quite a long time, meticulous planning and very good execution, and how it's especially in their surprise that they launch. And that also implies that they have a good plan for an Israeli incursion. So anytime you fight in a built-up area and in cities, you're going to have problems with civilians, but there's also going to be probably ambushes and all kinds of booby traps. So this is going to be a very, very difficult situation for the Israeli Defense Forces if they have to go into the Gaza Strip.
Critics are pinning the blame on Prime Minister Netanyahu. After his victory in the last election, Netanyahu took overt steps to annex the West Bank. Netanyahu's government measures included a massive expansion of settlements and bolstering the Jewish presence on Temple Mount near the Al-Aqsa Mosque. The Prime Minister has been boasting of an impending peace deal with the Saudis in which the Palestinians would get nothing. As expected, signs of an outbreak of hostilities began in the West Bank. Israeli media reports state Palestinians started feeling the heavier hand of the Israeli occupier, and Hamas exploited the opportunity in order to launch its surprise attack. Hamas and other Palestinian groups in the Gaza Strip have a variety of homemade and smuggled rockets at their disposal to use against Israel. Unconfirmed reports online state the militants are also banking on arms smuggled by Ukraine. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.